welcome back to my window from Velo. Well, their mission is to get people out of their cars and onto their bikes. Owner Eric Power says Velo makes, quote, practical bikes for you to enjoy for both pleasure and transportation, unquote, with Jay Livingston leading the charge. Thank you, first of all, for having us here all week long. Let's hear this story behind this bike. Everybody that's walked in today has been, it's these bikes that really catch everyone's attention. You've got a lot of bikes around here, but it's the Jay Livingstons. How did this even start?
So the Jay Livingston bicycle started with a friend of mine named John Livingston, who we got in a discussion one night about, I've always been into racing bikes and very high-end bikes. And we started talking about what made my Commuter bike, which is a couple $1,000 bike, any better than a bike that he cobbled together from an old mountain bike. And so he said, you know, what makes yours any better? And I kind of, it took me by surprise a little bit because I couldn't make a really good argument.
Nothing?
As to, yeah, well, little things, but nothing that would add up to like the hundreds of dollars more than it was. So that got me thinking. I was kind of starting my bike shop at the same time and got me thinking about doing what John was doing, which was taking old steel mountain bikes from the 80s and repurposing them into commuter bikes. So I started my shop and we did our first Livingston bike, and somebody came in and it was a lady, and I still remember the bike, and she bought it, and kind of Livingston was born at that point, and we've honed the bikes quite a bit. They get quite a lot of attention to detail now, where John's were kind of cobbled together. They weren't even repainted or anything. Now we powder coat them, put head badges on, make them look, very stylish. And people are able to customize them as they like. Like they can pick their color, tires and frames and seats.
And so this is actually an old mountain bike steel frame. Correct.
This one happens to be a lady step-through style. The one above it was actually a men's bike at some point.
Yeah.
And because we sell a lot of bikes to women, they've been on uncomfortable, pitched forward bikes for a long time, and they get on one of these and they're like, oh my God, this is like the bike I had as a kid.
Yeah.
So we ran into tall women was an issue because they only made smaller frames in the mountain bike frames for women. So we started modifying the top tubes and changing them into what we call a swoopy tube style. And so those are super popular, and then up top is the men's version.
I love just the idea in general. Where are you getting your bikes? I mean, are you on Craigslist at night like, I see that you got an old steel mountain bike.
Yep, we are on Craigslist. I also know a lot of the guys that are professional garage sailors in town.
Yeah.
And they pick up these bikes and they don't want to put them on eBay or anything. They know I want to buy them. And so, yeah, we're just always looking for frames, and we have probably a year's supply based on current demand. But that is one of the challenges of the business model is where do we keep sourcing these frames? But they keep coming, they just keep coming. And so we're happy because we love steel and we love rigid, non-suspension bikes.
There's something really cool about an old steel bike. That has a different feel to it. And I don't know, maybe it's our age too, where we feel like, oh, this is how I grew up on something like this. I mean, this compared to another commuter bike, because it has kind of the mountain bikey frame, how does that feel different?
Well, it's interesting. Like we have some customers that'll come in and ride Jay Livingstons, and then they'll go ride bikes from some of the big brands out, and then they come back and they say, we like the way your bikes rode better. And I'm always like, really? Like these guys are engineering bikes to be commuter bikes, and yet they like our bikes better. I think one is the aesthetics are better, but two is that they're usually riding aluminum, and aluminum rides very differently than steel. So, and then when you add in the fact that they're repurposing, they're recycling something that
it's very romantic.
We're reducing the carbon footprint.
Yeah.
Then they're kind of like, oh, and I can get it in my color. It just becomes kind of an easy
well, you
sale.
can completely dial it into how you want with all these little things that make it really intimate to yourself. For anybody else who hasn't been to your bike shop, how long have you been here, and what else do you offer here at Velo?
So we've been in this location for going on our 4th year. We've been in business for 6. We specialize in steel bikes. Almost every bike in the shop will be steel. We don't really do much in the way of clipless pedals, so we're using shoes that are appropriate for the weather is my line. You can wear a Sorel in the winter, or you can wear a flip-flop in the summer. You don't have to wear booties or anything like that. We also sell Surly bikes, and then we sell the Yuba cargo bikes.
Yeah, which all are, we actually have both those bikes and love them both. Do you do the electric component here too?
We do on the Yubas, we do electric. We're not an electric bike shop, and I'm very much a traditionalist when it comes to bicycling, although I do have an electric cargo bike. We stick to steel, commuter, touring, the new gravel grinding that's going on, that's really popular. We cater to that crowd as well.
All right, last 30 seconds here. How would you say Bend is overall as a bike town?
So that's one of my lines, is that I used to kind of say Bend is not a bike town, it's a racer town, which I'd say Portland is more of a bike town. But I think we're coming a long way. I think there's a lot of improvements going towards infrastructure for bicycling in town, getting out of your car. I still cringe sometimes at the schools where there's a lot of SUVs lined up to pick up kids when it's a relatively small town. We could do better, but I think we're moving in a great direction.
Yeah, well, last note, that Yuba cargo bike is a perfect SUV. I mean, it really is. We do the same thing with our kids. We took it to San Francisco and put my 2 kids and myself on there, and just did San Francisco on the cargo bike, and it was fantastic.
And the kids will never forget it.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's way better than driving around in the car.
It really is. You get there a lot quicker, and you can park anywhere you want. Yeah. Thank you so much for having us here this week. This is a great shop, and I hope a lot of people come out and check it out. My window from Ben Velo. We'll be right back.